In this episode, we're going to finish the floor. As you can see, right here I'm finishing putting in the floor joists. Again, the idea, of course, is to put a floor joist every 24 inches and then come back and do a cross section of shorter ones between to add support. And then, of course, we put a post every other one of those. We'll wind up, by the time we put the porch on, I believe there was 45 posts in all. And that, of course, was to keep it from sliding off the mountain when it rains or snows, or seems like it has rained this entire summer. Every other day or so, it has really slowed me down. Of course, one person working alone doesn't work that fast anyway. What you're seeing me do right here is I'm going ahead and putting in some screws. I tack them in a little bit, and that way it doesn't take much to get them started. If you don't do that, they can dance all over the place on you sometimes. Now, what I would do is it turned out I used the dimensions between joists on a 24-inch center is 22 and a half, except for the ends. The ends are a special condition, and that's 21 and 3/4, I believe. But anyway, it worked out where by using those exact dimensions, it just kept straightening the boards out for me. It worked out really good. I didn't have to. Right here, that one was just a hair long, and I had to cut it off. But I had to do that very little. In fact, that might have been the only one. And I probably cut that wrong to begin with. But it was amazing how it pulled everything square, and you'll see me working with my level constantly, keeping everything level. And what I would do, if you'll notice on the front there, I have two little stands that can be adjusted, and I would use shims under the front to bring it up level. But we were constantly working with the level all the way to the front. I would put in a section, and then once it was level, I would pour the concrete for those posts. And I worked my way all the way toward the front doing that. As you can see, unfortunately, my plywood got a little wet, and because of the way it was laying on the ground, it was just a little bit bowed. That ground is definitely not level. So it didn't lend itself to keeping plywood perfectly in one plane, but no big deal. We were able to work with it. As you heard me say in previous episodes, the floor went down really good. It's just very close together. There's no gaps. It's square, level. Takes a while to do it like this, but when you're working alone, it doesn't add a lot to the time, because it just takes a long time to do it when you're doing it by yourself. There's nobody to hold the other end of a 2x6. But we get it done, and I've enjoyed the process. We're almost dried in now. Not here, of course, but I mean in real time. But I'm just way behind on getting the videos out because I've been so busy trying to get this thing dried in before the absolute cold weather gets here. We've already had some cold weather. In fact, we had one little bit of snow already. But we're nearing putting in the final windows, and once that's done, then I'll be able to use a kerosene heater to heat the inside while I finish out putting in insulation and inner walls and wiring and that sort of thing. But we'll eventually get you caught up, and you'll be seeing me do all of that too. What I'm doing here, when I would use up a bag of concrete, I would not mix another bag if I didn't have enough posts to pour to use up that whole bag, because obviously you'd wind up with some concrete setting up on you. So every now and then I would have to leave out a post, and I would always leave out the outer post because I can get to that without crawling under the floor. So I had to go back and fill some of those outer posts in. I was just catching up there. little cleanup. Took me 3 days to do what you're seeing here, so that this was the end of one of the days. I'm doing a little touch up and a little clean up, winding the day up. But this episode, we're going to finish this floor. That has been a great little cement mixer. It'll only hold a 50-pound bag of cement, but that's all I can handle anyway, so worked out really nice. I try to keep it clean by the end of every session. Okay, now here's the next day. But at the end of every session, I always wash it out and clean it out good. Keeps it running good. I have to stay a section ahead of myself, or I have to get back under the floor and put screws in underneath. That's too hard to do, so I stay, as you can see there, I'm one section ahead of where I put the last plywood. Here again, I'm putting the screws in ahead of time. Then all you got to do is just take your pieces and work your way back. Now, I didn't put you through watching all that again. You see here we've skipped forward. I figured once you had seen my process there, you didn't need to see it again, so we left that out. I kept having to work between my electric drill and my battery drill. Turns out I'm using a star drive screw to put that in with, and the screws that build the bottom are 3-inch screws, and they use a T25, and the ones that I'm using to put in the plywood are only 1.5 inches, and they use a T20. So rather than change bits, I'm using 2 screwdrivers or 2 drills. And once again, you can see where the weather has affected my flooring a little bit. That's the only problem with working by yourself. It takes a while, and you are subject to weather. But like I said, this summer has been exceptionally wet. I mean, it has just rained a lot. Our yard is just destroyed. I had some material delivered up closer to the building site, where the building site is from the road, and it left ruts all in the yard where they had to drive the delivery mechanism up there. Bella's coming to do her inspection. She said it looked pretty good, so we're going to just finish putting it on down. She's been great company. You don't always see her in the frame, but she's always close by. She's my baby. Getting to the final course on those, what I call tweeners. My stands were in the way, so I had to put a temporary hole prop on the outside, so I just simply screwed it where it would catch the ground, keeping everything level. Oh, if I could only work that fast in real time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we could finish that thing in about a week if we could do that. It's coming along though. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, but I'm getting ready to be done now because I want to get back to having time to edit my video. That's the whole purpose of this, is to have an editing suite and a little recording studio where I can do some new music. On my music channel, I've been using music from CDs that I made years ago. My equipment is far better now than it was when I made those albums. I'm really wanting to make some new stuff just so you can hear what the new studio sounds like. It's far better. Once again, had to move the stand that was holding the front end up. Put that temporary post in. All right, a little plywood to finish this thing up. Now, in the next episode, what we'll do is put the porch on the front. The porches will be using 2x6 timbers that stretch across the front. That floor will be a little different than the inside. Obviously, if you put plywood out in the rain, it's going to delaminate after a while. As you can see, it had rained the night before, and my plywood, it just kept getting wet. But I think we escaped any great damage. But the front porch will be 2x6s and be treated timber so it can get wet. It'll be like a porch instead of a floor. I mean, it'll be a floor, but it'll be a porch. Have gaps between the timber so the water can drain out. All right, getting it down to the final few screws. I hope you're enjoying what we're doing. If you like what we're doing and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate all of that. And in the next episode, we'll be doing the porch. Thanks for watching.